Reproduced missive from Lanyssa Ryssyl, Aransor of Sorrows, to Moraine, the Blade of Twilight. Sourced, Archives of High Lore Seeker Mathis.
The heart was never a fortress. It was a memorial. It was never intended to be perfectly sealed away from the determined. She has found a way in. We will defend.
Archivist's note. Again, the Aransor is frustratingly devoid of scholarly detail or context.
So here we find ourselves at the Blasphemy of the Glacier's Heart, the final mission in this Echoes of Winter Cadre of Iron campaign. Why don't you walk us through this mission real quick?
Absolutely. So we have a set of pillars here. Each of those smaller pillars represents the different aspects of Isor, and then obviously the center pillar is actually over where he is buried. And so you have Anathia going through, she's trying to corrupt them, and you have Lanyssa going through, and she's trying to cleanse them, essentially. So you have a ritual and a counter ritual, they're going to clash, and so you'll see that we're going to have these actions that we do on each of the smaller pillars, and whenever you perform an action to take the ritual on the smaller pillar, you can then remove all the actions that happened on an adjacent pillar. And so it's kind of this like little mini game where you're trying to activate your pillars, you're trying to turn off your opponent's pillars, and if you happen to both activate the same pillar, then it's going to blow up and hurt you. Once enough of the pillars are activated, then the center becomes active, you can score points off of it.
And I think from a standpoint of terrain, we kind of went to a similar perspective of, you know, we had one piece sitting over on our opponent's objective. I went with the block of ice, you went with the foresty terrain, but we both also implied with the two walls that, like, hey, this is the objective that we're probably going to be aiming for early in the game. A little bit of telegraphing, I guess, but entertainingly, we both telegraphed the same message.
Yeah, and I mean, when I'm going through and I'm deploying, obviously when I'm setting my terrain, I'm trying to make sure that you don't yank my puppies out of position, my lions, whatever the heck they're called. So I kind of end up with them kind of towing behind that big central obstruction to keep you from pulling me up. And then what I'm going to do with my infantry is I'm going to use kind of a buddy system. We're going to have one person to kind of clear and control a pillar and the other person to actually do the action. And that works quite well with the Last Watch because they kind of feed off each other and they buff each other. And so I think it works really well to kind of split my army like that.
I think we saw a little bit of that in the prior mission, in mission 2, where we had the nose that we had to mark. It was like pairing up with your infantry help to make sure that you could activate the mission play.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of one of the important things is anyone can take the activation on the pillar, but you still have to actually own it. And you can only own it with the appropriate type of model. So it's kind of important to, like, you can't just run a beast over and own it. You have to have the correct infantry model with the right amount of health to do so.
Yeah. So we hop into turn 1. I believe you're going first because you won mission 2?
That is correct. And so the other thing that gets kind of interesting is since you can activate a pillar and use that to cancel out your opponent's activation, there's a whole lot of pressure on doing it kind of last. Because if you activate like the pillar in your deployment zone, then Kevin's just going to run over to the side, activate one of the flanking pillars, and then remove that token off my deployment zone pillar. So what I kind of did is when I deployed, I made sure that I had guys who were able to actually walk back to my center. So they're actually in range to walk back and activate my center pillar if I need to do that, or they have the ability to walk up to the flanking pillars. As with most things, we're just going to lead off with Cylena. She's got a prey target. She's going to try to pop them. She does, I think, a little bit of damage. But it's important to kind of start whittling down the health so that way I can now take a full health guy and take control of a pillar away from, you know, a partially health model.
Yeah, she's a real strong model. Like in a normal game of Warmachine, she's a good model. In Cadre of Iron, when she gets the prey and activations, um, it really makes her strong in the sense of you can start the game out early by setting the model activations of your opponent down quickly. My eviscerator, however, did not die. I believe he's sitting on a grand total of 1 wound. So I'm kind of looking at him from my original intent was to move him up and get him to activate the objective. However, I'm more interested in keeping him alive and basically using him now that he's sitting on 1 wound as basically the home objective, cowering behind the forest home objective action. So I need to make sure that Cylena also doesn't come around to my objective marker that I originally telegraphed that I wanted to go to and just take it from me, and then you end up getting 3 and just start scoring 3 every turn. Seems like a bad situation, so I lose my little pop-up to get into basically a position of don't come over here or I'll kill you.
Yeah, stupid dice, he should be dead.
Hey, Dice Gaze, gotta love him.
Poor Cylena. She was such a hero in earlier games, and now she's just like always just a little bit short. I feel like you've learned how to play against her.
I mean, you play enough games that you kind of you get your bogeymans that always get you, and then you start leaning into am I paying too much attention to my bogeymans? I think going into this, I started measuring out, and obviously I want to position myself to potentially go after the objective you sort of telegraphed to. I need to make sure that I'm far enough away that I'm not just going to get a turn 1 charge out from the last watch, or even the dogs to some extent. So I kind of position one out and then wait for the other one to come by so they base to base so they can get shield wall to try and keep them alive for turn 2. Because I'm kind of playing with a little bit of foreknowledge of I have vengeance because of the damage that the first execrator took. So I know I'm getting a free 3-inch move at the beginning. So theoretically I can just take my 3-inch vengeance with these two and position to try and charge something off of the wall if you move the last watch in too far.
Yeah, you can see like I'm just playing kind of cagey with the kitties. They're both kind of dug in. They're bumped up against terrain, so there's not going to be any of this pulling stuff. And so I have the one up top, and he's just there straight up to contest that objective. And then you have kind of the threat, even if you do try to vengeance in, you're not in range, but even if you do try to come in, do try to attack him, he's got spring blades. He's actually quite good against infantry. And so you kind of be able to start taking those things away.
Yeah, I've started noticing after like this third mission that a lot of times you use your manticores, not kitties, use your manticores almost as like distraction pieces. Not in the sense of like, hey, look over here, I'm a distraction, but at the same time, they are. Because on one hand, I don't want it roaming around anywhere near my army, but on the other hand, I do actually have to deal with them because they are model activations and they're deadly too.
Yeah, they're in a weird spot in this format where like they're not this big obvious heavy hitter like your Grave Golem, whatever that thing is called, is where they don't have like the POW 18 like a normal heavy, so you have to like do a little bit of teamwork to take down your opponent's heavy hitter. But at the same time, like they still have 24 health, something like that. So they're kind of like this weird place between a light and a heavy, and they're not like trivial to remove. They take effort to remove them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if you're trying to remove them from range. So I pushed my main mass of my army. So I'm going to be putting the champion Anathia and my heavy into the center of the table. The heavy is close enough that I'm going to be able to score, hold the center. Get the 1 point off of that, and then I believe I do an activation with the champion, if I remember correctly, on my home objective. Since you basically kind of shown that you're not going to go after that home objective up in the upper right hand corner, so I can at least activate my objective in order to score the points there. For that, and then obviously with the center underneath my control, I'm aiming for playing the duck and cover card.
Yeah, I can't. And here you're just like spell slinging at my cat. Even dug in, you're still hitting it. It's infuriating. but it does it you know it just moves up and bumps the terrain, so we're not too worried about like threat range stuff.
Yeah, it's I'm not getting any gallows off, which would have been a lot more juicier. Because again, I'm relying a bit on that vengeance move to kind of keep you honest, which I think is playing well in my favor. So here we go. My wounded gentleman who would be sitting on that objective all turn goes up to do the activations. Nothing to clear off because you didn't activate the other markers. And then we just bring the champ up for shield guard.
And then I have Veer activate the objective in my deployment zone. The
Oh,
loci.
that's right. Veer
That's
was
what
the
they're
one
called.
that you did your home one. So we go into turn 2 at a 3/2, currently in Anathia's control. And I believe since we didn't have anything die, that means I get first activation.
No, it's such a shame.
So it's one of those situations where I'm looking at first activation, and I'm gonna play up. I'm gonna use the vengeance, move up, and then I'd contemplating about activating and kicking off the marker on your home territory, but then Veer's just gonna turn around and put it back on, and then kick mine off anyways. So like you started with the beginning, this is one of the situations where you want to do your marker activations so that you can flip the other token and not have it reprise back to flip the other direction. So you need to do a little bit of work in the beginning, which I'm okay with work. Like, don't get me wrong, I like charging things, I like killing things. And I have a boogeyman to take care of. But actually, I'm sorry, it looks like you go first.
Yeah, because I went first last time, so you had the last activation.
Correct.
Right.
So Kitty went in.
I don't remember now.
Kitty's doing some work on both of the.
Yeah, this is where the cats come into play in a big way. That they're very, very good against infantry, because he's going to be able to clear out both of those guys real quick, and then they have what's it called, drag below, I believe is what it's called. Where after you kill an infantry model, he basically can move backwards and dig in, and that's exactly what it's going to do.
Yeah, it's almost.
And that's just a huge, huge swing right there for me.
I was going to say, it's a huge swing because it not only removes 2 models, but it basically puts you back to where you were, safely behind a wall and within cover. So I decide, you know what, you kill my stuff, I'm going to kill your stuff. Cylena's my boogeyman, as always will be my boogeyman. So I send in the Carnal Hound, trigger the lightning strike, and surprisingly, if you can boost the hit and you can make it stick, she actually does that relatively easily.
Yeah, she's one of those high defense, low armor, gentle folk. Did not deserve this by any stretch.
So I get to kill Cylena, clear up this quarter. He lightning strikes back, so I'm not worried about the something reprising, like one of the manticores coming in. Which means that he's contesting it, he's not controlling it.
Yeah, and in this particular scenario, you got to mark them. So it's not enough to just hold the objective, you actually have to actively mark it. Which is why we use the buddy system, except Veer abandoned his buddy, and look at what happened.
So it looks like Lanyssa's going to do some stuff.
Yeah, so she's just kind of... It's in this weird spot where I don't really want to move to the center, because I'm pretty sure that she'll just kill me. So she's just going to, YOLO out her free spell, and she just gets the crit, which is hilarious. And so she crits your big beater there and your champion. So they both get stationary. One thing to note in this is that stationary is a shakeable effect in this format. So you're not just kind of losing a turn. You can shake, sacrifice your movement or reaction and shake it.
Yeah, I mean, to think if I couldn't shake it off, then it would be a situation of not only did I lose 2 activations by virtue of the Manticore, which I believe that is Sasha up, Benkei down, I think. So Sasha killed those 2, but having basically that corner being frozen means that I would get a grand total of 2 activations this turn. So thankfully the fact that I can shake helps it so that I can at least still keep getting some play out of the center through the barrel ghoul, it's going to mean that he's going to get less activations. But since he's not planning on charging anything, it shouldn't be too much of an issue for me to basically spend one, shake it off, and move myself over to continue controlling. And ideally, I want to put myself into a position where I'm either going to force you to come into me, and I don't think one of the cats can kill the barrel ghoul outright. But if you don't, I'm going to come after you anyways. I think that's one of the things about the play between. Whenever I see you playing where you don't have the two Manticore cats together, I don't have to worry about gang as much. I like to play in that favor.
Yeah, they definitely operate like Siegfried and Roy, where they want to pounce on the same target.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Good call.
Haha. I've been working on my cat puns. So, yeah, and this is just one of those ones where I think my strategy coming into this was that since it's very activation heavy, I'm going to seed a lot of the earlier positioning in order to just remove as many pieces as I can, limit the amount of activations you have, so that way I can start putting control on the pillars and you can't counter that.
Yeah, I mean, if the viewers haven't noticed, nothing has happened on the table because that crit freeze has put me deep into the tank. I'm like, how in the hell am I going to pull this off?
That's kind of the funny thing is like, when you talk about strategy, even in the main game with like tempo and things like that, every now and then you can just do something random that totally screws your opponent. You're just like, that didn't mean anything to me. Like Lanyssa just did that because I didn't have anything else for her to do, and it just threw you for a huge loop.
Yeah. So Barrel Ghoul comes in, spends the 1 to freeze, puts up his Animus, and then turns around and makes sure that I've got a stack. Because I'm looking to, now that I've got the beast and everything, I'm looking to potentially pull an Anathia feat, do a bunch of spell slinging, and pull back in, do a bunch of spell slinging, and then still recover some. Not sure exactly who I'm going to go after with, though. Just because Dragon's not really going to do anything, but we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, and so where this kind of worked out for me is I said hell no on the feat and getting to spell sling. I don't want you arcing anything, but it also lets me kind of get the jump on your big guy. And even if my cat's not going to kill him, if I can do just enough damage to get his health low enough, I can actually take that objective away from you. Mm-hmm. And so I don't need to kill you. I just need to hurt you a bunch. And I also burn Blessing here to get through your armor buff.
Oh, because the Hell Rod. I think that's one of the most interesting things about the Cadre of Iron format is that it's not based on killing. You can literally leave something alive, but as long as it's got less wounds than you, it might as well not be there. We activate the champion. The champion stacks its combat in order to shake off the ability and then contribute its hit points towards the scoring, because the beast is there in order to make it score a bull, but the champion increases the hit points to determine who is scoring it.
And that was another piece of like, because the champion is frozen, he has to sack his movement or action, so he's not going to be able to come in and hurt the cat either. And then, keeping with my buddy system, went ahead and shipped Viron in there, chip a little bit more off the big guy. I can never remember his name.
The Barrel Ghoul.
Yeah. Barrel Ghoul. I think Grave Golem is Malifaux.
So now we've got Anathia, and Anathia's got her beautiful 3-inch whip. I love that whip so much.
He's so dirty in this format with it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. Unfortunately, I don't love it when it doesn't hit. One of the other things I like about it, specifically in the Anathia versus Lanyssa matches, the whip does allow me to add Fury onto your beast or take Fury away. So it gives me a little manipulation. And I don't remember. I think I do some damage to the cat, but not nearly enough.
Well, unfortunately, you do enough to take back the center.
Correct.
Just having a 3 model stack there and hurting my poor innocent cat who did nothing to you.
Innocent, sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously the play is get control of the center, but the wish is get control of the center with one less beast on the table. Because then it's just fear, and I can toss off the carrion hound into Veer, and then have Anathia go down to score the other objective, and basically just kind of create a shifting the direction of the game so that it's running left to right instead of top to bottom. And then have the beasts and the champion just kind of run the wall to prevent anybody getting to the back half of the board for Benkei returns.
Yeah, the fun part about you hitting the cat is it doesn't really matter too much in this situation, but the Spring Blades is also reducing your ability to control that objective.
Correct. Yeah, and that's another reason why killing the cat's important. It's the Spring Blades is always one of those where it's like I need to do damage. And I think every once in a while I was doing like 2 points of damage, and you were doing more back to me. So we're going to use the repo card, pull her back some, just to make sure that Lanyssa can't just come whirly dervish over and kill. And unfortunately, that just kind of puts her the last watch, puts her on notice.
Well, and then so he came up, he marked that pylon, that loci, and then that undid the one in your deployment zone.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we start into turn 3. I am sitting at a beautiful 5. You are sitting at, I think it's 4, is that right?
Oh, 5, we're tied.
5, yeah, we're tied, 5 and 5, that's right. It was one of the situations where I got a smidge ahead on lead, and you're like, hey, about that, no. But you have a higher activation potential here, and this kind of falls back to that round 2 where you killed off the 2 eviscerators. I have plenty to still do. This is not a lost game by any stretch of the imaginations. But what's going through your head here? Like, how are you going to push the limit?
I mean, I think the one thing I'm trying to do is regain control of the center, as it's rapidly kind of getting out of hand over there. And so this is where that cat's not in good shape. So we go ahead and we pop that Old Faithful on him, and we're just trying to get the value out of him that you can before he dies.
Good news, you have 2 of them.
Yeah, I like him better in pairs than in singles. So here's your vengeance moves.
Yeah, I think when I was doing the vengeance move, my brain was like, I need to get over, like, if I have Anathia come back, she can activate the home, and I can have that 1 hit point wonder gentleman walk over or run over to the objective, and then maybe do a turn 4 flip. So that way, if you activate and turn and flip your home objective, he can turn it off. Or at least that was going through my brain. And then since I have less activations, I get to go first, and I'm going to punch a Manticore.
Yeah, poor cat. I don't see the cat pulling through this.
No.
Not only do I need you to like roll bad, but you always roll hot. Oh, and then I'm sorry, you didn't even bother with the cat.
No, I'm going after the cat too. I killed Veer with the fist. I killed Cat with the hammer.
So much greed.
Hey, you started it. You came to the table and was like, hey, these 2 guys over here, how about no? I will say, though, that after this activation, I think that Baraghoul is actually sitting on a very low meta hit points, because between the damage that he took prior, some of the damage that he's been getting from basically 2 rounds of Spring Blades, he's kind of wounded up, and he doesn't actually even get to kill the cat. I think the cat's gasping for air, if I remember correctly, because I think at the moment I'm still holding the center objective. You have plenty of more activations to make sure that doesn't happen, but yeah, that was one of those. I sent the Baraghoul in. I don't feel bad for killing Veer with the fists, but I did not get enough to actually kill the Manticore.
Yeah, so we're just sending Kylo Ren on in. He's doing Jedi things. Beautiful, beautiful Jedi things. And again, it's even though the cat's in a bad spot, we're still focusing on, can I remove models from the table, just any model, doesn't matter which model, and just reduce those activations, reduce activations.
Yeah, and I think some of that also plays in. I don't think there's anything on the table that I have that is of full hit points. I think even Anathia, because of the whips and the spring blades that she was taking off of the cat, I think even she's damaged up. I've used my repo card, so unfortunately this positioning is a bit risky. Just from the perspective of Lanyssa has that very non-linear threat. But I have to get activation control. I can't just let you keep picking up models and not picking up models in return. So she will continue to use that beautiful 3-inch whip. I tried to go in, and I think I boost kill the cat, and then I was contemplating on killing the last watch, and decided it might be better just to sit on transfers because I could still transfer to the light.
Yeah, so we're just checking the threat ranges here.
Yeah, I'm not looking.
And-
I'm not happy that you were measuring towards my Carnal Hound.
Carnal Hound's way far away. That thing's safe. I think we're sending Riva in at this point, see what she can do. And this is a position that I don't like to be in from the elf side of attrition, where I'm just shoving everything into the middle, everything into the jaws of your army. I'm just trying to do something to that arrow ghoul. That thing has stuck around like crazy this game.
So I don't know if you caught it, but I'd moved the Hound up to activate the Hound and move the objective. I put the marker down. Was like, remove your marker. You took your marker away and was like, wait a minute, that's not infantry. So we had to kind of reverse it back. And I was like, well, I wanted him in that position anyways to be able to pull a next turn charge.
And here I'm just like literally running. I'm just running my kitty up in order to have enough health on the objective. Because he doesn't have a distance, he doesn't have charge lane.
Yeah. Which means that I can at least activate and flip that, but then Lanyssa turns around and flips it back. And I did not see that, but c'est la vie.
So rude.
Gets to deny me points and still gets to do stuff. Rah. Unfortunately, that was a bad turn for me. You've blown all cards, though. You're now sitting at a 9 to my 5. I scored nothing that turn. So I'm definitely going to have to put in some work. But if I can pull a 4-point swing, I can at least pull a tie. So we're looking at gaining, if I can get the center, and if I can get an activated objective, and if I can get more objectives than you. So timing's a problem.
And I mean, certainly that last little interaction there showed the power of thinning out your opponent's army and having that last extra activation to kind of go in and flip that back and play that back and forth flip game.
Well, not to mention Lanyssa kind of gets she's got the speed where she can bounce back and forth. It would actually have behooved me if I had shifted the game where we were playing top and bottom instead of left and right, because the distance between the two on the right is shorter than the distance across the gap. But this is the game that we were playing, so advantage to not having many models, you get to go first.
Yeah, and this is where I think the attrition gets a little bit rough here for me.
Yeah, we're going to try and make sure that it's true to their name and it is their last watch. And remove these models. Now that does, killing one or damaging one does buff. But if you just kill them all, buff does matter. But then it becomes a situation of I'm not going to be contributing any body presence if I die next turn. It also is the last turn, so it doesn't really matter. And I think we just kind of said YOLO and try and kill the last watch altogether.
It will be missed.
Yeah, I mean, because ideally, my objective for scoring here is I need to control the center. I need to make sure that I get some work done, which means that variable has to get to that cat. So I end up spending the last, and I think Anathia was not able to finish off the last watch. Double swords is still there, still being a pain.
I think her name's Riva, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, like I said, double swords. And
She's great. I
I
love
really
her.
thought Reva was going to come in and finish off the barrel, and you're like, nah, I'm gonna let the cat do it.
I thought the cat had a better shot, so slightly higher POW, and she's like she gets like the weapon master charges, but yeah, I mean the cat's got what 2 initials and 3 buys, so it's a little bit more damage per volume, if you will.
But it's harder because he doesn't have his partner for gang, and you've already blown the blessing card, so you're trying to swing through that armor buff.
Yeah, I can't remember at this point how much health that stupid thing has, but it was ridiculous. Just not getting through it at all.
So I'm not going to give you the opportunity for a second activation. I'm going to activate the barrel goal. I'm going to club a last watch and fist and club the manticore and see if I can pick these 2 pieces up and control the center. Still have an activation issue. I have the cat may be necessarily down there, but he cannot activate the node. So I'll have to use, instead of getting, I'll have to use get a card. I think I'm aiming for the hunter card, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
But I'm going to have an activation issue because I don't have a way of having more activated tokens, because the Cardinal Hound, I keep calling it cat, it's not a cat, it's a dog, or an Argus, but I don't have the ability to do anything with that.
Yeah, I'm the cat person, you're the dog person.
So we're going to beat back, and the beat back was just a, in the back of my mind, I was like, if this goes south and I don't kill the cat, or don't kill the manticore, I need to at least beat back the manticore so that a way it is not within range of controlling the objective.
And this is what it looks like for me to get tabled. This is why they call Lanyssa the Aransor of Sorrows. She's just like, man, guys, I'm sorry. So she's gonna feat, just might as well. She's gonna throw up, was it Wind Rush? So she can walk. She could charge. She's gonna pop off that last guy there.
And I want to call out the play on this, because I honestly thought you were coming after Anathia. Like, if I was on your side of the table, my brain would have been like, kill Anathia, kill the caster. But you're like, you were basically looking at more from an equation of the points in the game. So, definitely applaud that you're basically looking at more from the don't react to my stuff's dying, just kill things. You played it, my stuff's dying, let's kill to make sure the points aren't being scored.
Right, and so that's kind of a big swing right there, where that takes away you getting that, activation point on that loci, and then I'm not losing 1 on mine.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like a double swing right there.
And in my anger and frustration, since he cannot score an objective, can the Cardinal Hound at least kill the Manticore? And I think I pull it off. I'm almost certain I remember pulling it off, because I think at the end of the game, like you were saying, you're basically being tabled because it was just Lanyssa on the table.
You know what? Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah. And unfortunately, he gets over there but can't do anything about it. So you end up winning 11-7. It was a great game and a great mission pack.
Yep. Certainly, hopefully this was entertaining for folks. Feel free to try it out. You don't need to play it like a story. You can just play these missions individually. But we really hope you enjoy them as much as we enjoyed them.
Reproduction of letters sent from Lanyssa Ryssyl, Aransor of Sorrows, to Moraine, the Blade of Twilight. Sourced, Archives of High Lore Seeker Mathis.
Pale seer. I do not know if what remains here is victory or blasphemy. Perhaps both. Anathia is gone, or changed beyond knowing. Her body was lost in the collapse, consumed by the storm she summoned. The heart lies shattered, the glacier split to its core. I saw what became of the power she sought. Prayers made visible, light as snow and sharp as glass. They did not rise, they fell inward. In their fall, they burned her away, or perhaps they answered her I cannot tell which. When the winds ceased, the field was quiet. Too quiet. I found a relic she forged from Nyser's remains, cracked but not cold. It pulsed faintly in my hands, neither divine nor infernal. When I held it, I heard whispers, not of our God, but of something newly born. It breathed once, and then no more. I do not know if I stopped her, Pale Seer. I do not know if she even intended to create this relic. I only know that something now stirs, and the prayers that once drifted aimless no longer do. They have found a place to go. I have buried the relic in the glacier's wound. I could not destroy it. The frost will hold it for a time, until we know what it has become. The land itself resists intrusion. Even my Nis cannot approach without the breath freezing in their throats. If you can still hear the echoes of the divine, I beg you, listen for this one. Tell me if what breathes beneath the storm is a remnant of Nyser, or the shadow of what Anathia sought to be. I fear I have preserved something that should not have been left to die, yet I cannot help but wonder if this, too, is a form of redemption, that from a god's silence and a monster's hunger, something else might emerge. Until I hear from you, I will remain here. The ice remembers. Someone must watch it. In devotion to what remains.